And again, just give
Beige Billionaires, episode 1.
So, you said something about, you just kind of use it as an example. You brought it up as an example in the conversation. And I kind of want to hit on it because I've seen a lot of stuff on it. But there's a lot of people who are interested in investing and are talking about investing in mobile home parks.
Yes.
And from what I hear, it's something that is very profitable. And I've kind of looked at it and I have a high level understanding of why it makes sense. But can you explain, what is the pros and cons of pursuing that investment opportunity or pursuing that business? And 2, why you do or do not pursue that for you specifically?
Okay. Mobile home parks, I like them a lot. I don't own any. So these are the pros that I like about mobile home parks. 1, a great way to invest in land. Because as a mobile home park owner, there's many ways you can own it in profitability. 1, where you own the land and someone pays you lot rent. So someone's paying you lot rent, you're bringing in that money, your expenses are basically covered, you're covering utilities, general ground maintenance, and say like a pool or any type of activity, any type of common use area that you want to provide to the tenants. So the overhead costs and the possible things that could go wrong are less.
Yeah.
There's another way you can do it where you can make more money is by owning the actual homes. Not charging a lot rent, but charging a building rent. So you own the building as well. You can collect more money that way. So this is still within the pro and con pro section, but within those 2 things, there could be a con that if you own the buildings, you have a lot of maintenance costs. So a lot of people will convert over and just own the land and sell the building off. And sometimes they'll sell it off for like $1,000 or $10,000. Not a lot of money. But what they'll do is they'll charge, the person might not be able to afford it because they live in a mobile home. They'll give them a lease to own payment. That way they can own their own property. They fix their own property. They maintain their own property. And you only get the rent that comes in. And I really like it because when I buy real estate, I'm buying dirt. And this is a very good way to buy a lot of dirt when you own these parks. Some people, after a while, they will not renew the lot rents on all the units, and then they will create a commercial property there or new homes or something. So it's a good way to buy land for potential use in the future, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the future. Now, you can make money. Obviously, you make the money in the buy, so that's tough because right now it's so competitive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the reason why I'm not in it is because of the reason that it's so competitive. The margins are very, very thin. And if you don't operate it well and you don't know what to look for, you're going to have a problem. So here are some of the cons. The cons are, one of the issues right now we're seeing is pricing. So unless you're really good at knowing what the value is and verifying what is good and bad about the property, you're not going to be able to properly price the park. For example, in all parks, no matter which situation you're in, you need to make sure that, is there septic tanks or are they sewer? Is it well water or is it city water? And depending on those answers, you have a variable number of problems that can come up. If it's septic tanks, how many do you have to change? If you change them, are they going to make you give up some of your tanks because of the city no longer wants that many tanks on the property? Are they going to make you have larger drain fields and you don't have the space for it? If it's a sewer system and it's an older park, are the sewers bad? Where now you yourself, not a city, you yourself are paying to put new sewers in your park. So there's a number of variables that could go wrong that could be very expensive. So you thought you got in a great park and you paid a premium price because it's a great park and a great location. Everything looks good above ground, underground, all the sewers are bad. You have to fix them. Or you have a leaking drain field that's too close, or a sewer that's too close to a lake, and now you're contaminating a lake. Now you have another problem. So the benefits could be very good, but the problems also can be very bad. So if you know what you're doing, you could be very profitable.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing, it could be a loss.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's it's kind of, when you're talking about that, it made me think of the same thing like with house flipping. When people first get into real estate, they think, I'm just going to buy this house, I'm going to flip it. And you hear all these stories of like these investors who their first flip wasn't that good or wasn't what they expected it to be, because essentially there's all these other factors that you're not taking consideration because it's your first time. And the thing is, like, it's like that with any business. Like when you go into business, you think you're going to make all this money and you're going to do, you're going to be super successful because maybe you're really good at what you do. But when you don't have the experience, you don't necessarily know, like, there's just so many variables and so many nuances that you can't count for, that somebody with experience is usually going to have the upper hand when it comes, especially like you said, it's a heated market. So it's very competitive. And so if you're trying to get into it and you're not as experienced, it'll be challenging for sure. Yeah.
So to add to what you were saying, in the home, the example would be not the fact that you could see a water heater or an AC unit is old. You can physically see that. But you don't know if the sewer lines or the plumbing behind the wall is old.
Yeah.
But someone that is skilled could have a very good idea if they're old, what likely products are there, and based off of the likely products are there, what is the likely issues you're going to encounter. So when I buy homes, I like buying 50s to 80s homes, but they all have clay pipes. They all have cast iron. And I know that, and I'm fine with that. I know up front, I'm swapping all that out.
So you can count that into your expense. Yeah.
An expense. And I do it in the front before I do any other remodels, because once we have those things fixed, we can then redo the drywall, redo the kitchens, redo everything. But I count for that day one. I don't end up redoing the kitchen and bathrooms, find out, oh my God, these pipes are bad, and then have all these additional leaks. So you can, and also with old houses, you're going to have aluminum wiring. You're going to know that. Like a good investor will know to check it, and will have the right people on their team to be able to dig a little deeper to get that information. The other issue with mobile home parks is the profitability is usually there with larger parks. We're talking about 100 to 300 slab parks, right? Slabs means the amount of mobile homes can be parked on there. Those people that are investing in that market now they're like institutional level investors. For sure. So, and you're going at 5 caps. Yeah. Like maybe 6 cap. The margin's very tight there, especially with a mobile home park. If you're not a seasoned operator, they're usually looking at minimum 25% down, but the reality is going to be closer to like 35 to 40% down if you're not a seasoned operator. So you're putting down like a large chunk of money for a property and you're earning 5 cap on it. The ROI is the ROI can be tighter than other options. So there is one way, I think. Now I've given you the pros and cons, but if I was going to go after this, what would I do? I would actually position myself to buy multiple, like 20, 30, 40, 50 unit parks that are close to each other. So then I have one management company running 5 or 10 30 unit, 50 unit parks. Now I'm functioning like 300 to 500 units. I can get the efficiencies of scale and have that built in to reduce my costs. But that's a heavy operations business. I'm currently doing the same thing with my real estate syndication business. It's very hard to find profitable So it's hard for me to find a 30, 50, 100, 200. Like, it's really hard to find a profitable multi-unit. Margins are very thin. Yeah. What I'm doing is I'm buying 3 unit, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 unit properties, all within the same area, roughly, a few miles apart. And I'm managing them like one large apartment building. Yeah. So, or multiple buildings spread out in a neighborhood, right? The neighborhood I lived in when I was in middle school, I think it was like 20 to 30 acres. So in the same scenario, I'm running it very similarly, where I'm trying to buy all in this one neighborhood, which is the one neighborhood is like 30 acres.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to buy all the multi-units, function, and preferably if they actually touch each other, that'd be the best.
Awesome. Yeah.
Because then if you bought, say for example, in the mobile home parks, if you bought a 30 unit and a 30 unit and a 30 unit, merge it together, you now have a 90 unit. Your property is worth more just because it's 90 units,
For sure.
not because you did anything different.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you put one management company, one lawn service over all of it. You do one of everything in the sense of the management, and you cut expenses. You made it even more profitable. You increase the value even more.
Yeah.
So it's those things, operator level skills, that you can put in to increase your profitability. And that is a whole nother skill set than running numbers and doing the finance. Like I'm looking right now to hire a guy that just runs numbers for me. Here's the deals I'm looking at. They look at 100 deals, they try to find one. And this partner doesn't get paid. He's not salaried. There's no compensation until he finds a good deal out of this bunch that we buy, and he gets a cut of the ownership of the company for the work he did.
Got it. Yeah.
You know? So, and that's
Like,
also common.
Kind of like sweat equity, right?
Sweat equity.
Yeah, for sure.
Because none of us actually get paid. I don't get paid.
Yeah.
I mean, I do a whole bunch of work and I don't get paid, but my payout is in the back end from all the work and all the value I provide. So these other bigger funds actually do the same thing. So I'm looking to do the same thing. Find the right person, understands my investment philosophy, because everyone has a different investment philosophy that matches it, and that can help move the needle forward.
For sure. Cool, man. Yeah, appreciate it. I just thought that'd be an interesting conversation to have, just because it's one of those things where it's like you see stuff online, you see stuff on social media, and it sounds really good, but when you get under the hood, there's so many nuances. So sometimes it's really good that you can kind of like break it down and let people know, like, hey, these are this is awesome, but just know that this is the kind of barrier. There's a barrier to entry, and you kind of have to go through that if you really want to get exposed to this market in a good way. So
awesome.
Good stuff.
If you want more content, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. A lot more content coming. We post at least once a week with lots of great financial information to help you build your personal portfolio.